Doing?
Good morning. Me.
Thanks for leaning into that microphone. He's been on the radio before, huh?
Yeah, I've been here the first time I've been here in this new studio. Very nice place here.
Doesn't it? You know what? You exhibited surprise that we would have something so nice.
I don't know about that, but I mean, I watch you do the weather report by looking outside, and I watch you do the traffic report by looking at the boulevard. So that's real-time traffic reporting there. Nice job.
You know what? That happens. People come in and they're like, dude, how do you know what the traffic and weather are? You haven't even looked at your computer. Hey, you know what? The force knows. Yeah. David Uran is the mayor of Crown Point, and if you want to talk to him, 219-845-1100. We got a lot to get to, but Dave, we gotta hit what some people would consider the most important thing about having you on here is that you are a high school basketball referee. How long have you been doing that?
Well, I've been doing it for about 15 years now. I got back into it about 3 or 4 years ago. I did it before I became a head coach at Hanover Central. Then obviously when I became mayor, that took a lot of my time up. But I've been able to find time to get back on the court itself the last few years. So it's been about 15 years.
Why basketball so deeply in your blood?
You know, Hanover Central, we didn't have a football program. I played baseball there as well. We played men's volleyball because we didn't have football. But basketball was our main sport, and I had a great coach down there, Terry Strawbridge, who I still talk to on maybe a monthly, sometimes weekly basis. Play golf with them, stuff like that. Our team down there was very tight and very close, and basketball has always just been in our growing up playing outside. You know, we didn't have AU basketball back then. If you wanted to teach yourself how to play basketball in the summertime, you got 5 or 6, 10 guys on the block and came together at somebody's house and played. So it's always just been in our blood since the 80s.
Now, you were the head referee on what turned out to be perhaps the biggest game of the year this year, maybe the biggest regular season game in a while, and that was here at the Hammond Civic Center between East Chicago and Griffith. A huge crowd, a lot of hype and so forth, but it came down to the last play, and the last play was a steal by Damian Jefferson, and then he grabbed the ball. You described the play as you saw it.
Well, first of all, the atmosphere at the Civic Center was amazing. 4,500 to maybe 5,000 standing room only type fans. It was great for Hoosier basketball, especially in Northwest Indiana. Again, as whether you can be a coach, player, a referee, or just a fan, it was definitely a place to be that night to watch two great teams battle it out down to the very last 0.3 seconds of the game. And again, East Chicago was pretty much it was a back and forth game. East Chicago made a run there in the third quarter. Took what would seem like to be a commanding lead. Griffith through the leadership of Coach Hayes, and and their team there with the resiliency, never to give up. We've seen Griffith what they've done since then, and just battled back and had a chance to win the game, or or at least have the game going overtime. And Jefferson made a great play in the ball. It was loose ball at half court. He had the wherewithal to pick it up and toss it in the air, which I don't think anybody realized that's what he would have done. That you would maybe have thought he'd try to pick it up and go for a full court layup to lay it in. The time would expire in overtime, and it was an amazing shot, and deservedly so. That night, in that moment, East Chicago was just a little bit better than Griffith.
You know, the guy grabs the ball and then he just crosses half court. Jefferson does, and he lets it go. Initially, your other referee waved the shot off.
Yeah, but once we got together as a team, as all three of us on the floor, and we all gave a different perspective of what we saw. That's just that we talked about the crowd being that loud, and hearing the horn go off. We don't have the benefit of a monitor like the NBA does, or even the college does, or the backboards weren't lit, so to say, when the time expires. That was probably a reaction based on not hearing the horn go off. Getting together as a group, as a unit, that we worked well together that day and that night for that game. We all came to the conclusion that the shot was good, and I think afterwards you saw video evidence through iPhones that proved we all got it right. And it was a collective call by the crew. You know what? In my mind, sitting there, of course, I called the game, and I'll play that call here on the way out to go to the next break or whatever. I thought at the time, I forget who I was doing it with,
saying, you know what, I thought he got that shot off right before it, and then there were some people that were behind that wound up taking pictures that the ball was out of his hand, and they got the scoreboard still there and so forth. So it was a tense time, but it looked as if you walked up there and said, "Hey, listen, I think he got it off." I mean, is that how it went down? Or
Well,
I know it was Fifield was with you, right?
Yeah, again, quality officials, Fifield, and just when the play took off, I was probably on the side that you could probably hear the horn the best, and so at that point we're just listening and watching at the same time. And when you can see the ball leave his hands and hear the horn in the background, and it was very faint because the crowd was so loud, that was the evidence that we had to share. To my defense to Glenn, he probably didn't have that benefit across the court because he was away for the timing table. And when we shared that information, Glenn was easily enough to say, okay, that's enough that he needed. And as a crew, we worked together to call right.
All right, we're talking to Mayor Dave Uran. You know what? My portion of this is done. We're going to have to bring Verley in now to go on there.
Now that you can't talk about sports.
Well, we can talk about sports all the time. We had a great
The
sports
mayor
complex.
also coached youth basketball because you used to be at the field house with your team is over there as well.
Yeah, we're still coaching. I'm still the AA coach for the 8th grade program for Coach Swan down at the high school. We play on Tuesday nights. We've had about 20 teams that have come down and play in the field house that's down there. Great atmosphere, good learning experience. We have a lot of travel teams that have all-star teams that come together. So our kids are playing against really good, talented teams that they'll probably never see collectively together on the high school floor because it's more an all-star setting. So even though maybe sometimes the challenges for our kids and teach these kids these lessons at 8th grade that, you might be falling a little short on the scoreboard, you're playing against really quality talent. And when you get in the high school level, and you definitely see what Coach Swan's done down at Crown Point, taking his team very deep in the playoffs each and every year.
How important now? I take my nephew out there on Mondays to practice baseball in the Southern Dome, but there's basically two domes in there. It seems that youth sports is pretty big in Crown Point. What's it do for the city?
Well, it's an economic driver. First of all, I mean, we talk about sports. I wouldn't be sitting where I'm at today without sports, I believe. I had a great upbringing with my parents and stuff like that, and I brought up Coach Strawbridge earlier. He brought a lot of discipline into to the household for myself as a player, as an athlete, about working with time management, working well with others, and just basketball being a very team-oriented sport. Now you take that equation and you put it in the public sector now. Especially as a mayor, you've got to work across the aisles on both sides and work with your constituents and work with your council, boards and commissions, business owners, and your educators and things of that nature. And life prepares you for those things. Also, it teaches you that you're not going to win all the time. So as you become in your whatever in basketball or whatever sport you play, I always say it's like a pyramid. As you get closer and get older to the top, it's very small for that percentage that's going to go on to play professional sports. But it'll prepare you for your life outside of sports, whether you're going to be a police officer, a firefighter, a teacher, an attorney, or hosting a radio show every morning. You want to be able to come up and do your best and be prepared and put the best product you possibly can out there. And if you do that and have that mindset each and every day, the people that you associate yourself with and yourself will do very well in your career.
How long have you been mayor?
In my 9th year, third term.
Third term. And you are in what party?
I'm listed as a Democrat.
You're Democratic Party. And so there's other mayors in Lake County. And you got McDermott here, you got Copeland, you got Karen Freeman Wilson and so forth. What's your relationship with other mayors in Lake County like?
Throughout the state, the mayors, you can take the political party and put it aside once you become a mayor. I always tell the people, in order to become in a political office, it's like baseball. You've got to be an American League or National League and get to the World Series. And once you win, the best player or the best team usually wins. People surround themselves based on that, how you play the game. And so when you look at other mayors throughout not only the region but in the state, the political tag really goes away. Our stories are the same. Whether it's in Hammond, whether I'm talking to the mayors down in southern Indiana. Matter of fact, and in a month here, we'll be at the Mayor's Institute put on by IAC. Mayors get together and share their stories. They share their successes and their tough times. And so that way, I mean, it's hard. It's not that hard to believe that what's happening in Crown Point, whether it's good or bad, can be shared down any parts of the state. And if we're doing different things that can come past that or get past some of those difficult times, we share that information so they can be strong in their own communities. So the mayors are very, very tight throughout the state.
Mayor, one thing that you have recently being proposed for the city of Crown Point is a wheel tax. Tell our listeners a bit about that. We know it was kind of floated downstate with the legislation, and now here Crown Point comes and we're getting
Well, I mean,
perhaps a wheel tax.
Front page of the Times today, by the way.
is it? No.
No, it was
Second, I think yesterday maybe?
Yesterday,
Monday's
yeah.
paper.
Yeah, that's yesterday's news, but we can talk about that. That's okay. No, I mean, the wheel tax, as a mayor, you got to look at all your options, okay? And again, as a mayor, it's not a dictatorship at all. It's the ability to take ideas and present it in front of your council. We are represented by 7 other people in the community. We have 5 district council people and 2 at large, and they do a very good job, and they're very, very intent in what they what's going on in Crown Point. So as a mayor, you bring these ideas, especially a second-class city, where a third-class city. You sit there and you chair your council, and you bring these ideas to the table. And if the council wants to affirm these movements, I mean, then that's how it gets passed by ordinance. The mayor can't just simply just go, we're going to go ahead and do this, and that's the way it is. We usually use social media. We're here on your radio show to talk about what the wheel tax is about. We definitely have a shortage in funding that's going to go ahead and repair and maintain our roads going forward. And everyone looks at the wheel tax as, okay, don't I already pay taxes and property taxes? Don't I already pay on my excise tax on my plates? You do. But you don't get 100% of that money back to your home community. Matter of fact, if you look at your property taxes, even though they're capped now, which is a good thing, everybody enjoys the fact that they're, based on what your assessed valuation is, it's capped on what you can pay unless there's an outside referendum, like we do have in Crown Point with our schools. That's all you're going to pay. And then as a municipality, we get about 20%, maybe 21% of that dollar. And we have to provide all the other services as well, police, fire, amenities and parks, your public works divisions, your engineering divisions, and many more other things that you have to do with that dollar, and including road repairs. And so we also have another source that comes in, which is our MVH, that's our motor vehicle tax that we get, and that's usually comes from the gas tax. And I don't think a lot of people realize through the gas tax that Indiana is a donor state. I mean, we share some of our money that's collected in Indiana through the federal side and the state side goes to other states. That's just the way it's set up. So not 100% of your money even stays in the state of Indiana. That being said, that money is then divided up by 55% stays with the state, about 45% goes back to the county, and then the remaining money goes back to the locals. Now, it's not proportionally shared based on population. It's by per capita, and it's by highway miles. So even the people who live in Crown Point that think that when they pay their excise and their license plates, that all that money comes back to the city of Crown Point, that's the wrong analogy. We get very little of it. Now the wheel tax is a independent outside. I keep telling people we're like supersizing our funding. Okay, when you go to McDonald's and you want to go have a meal and they ask you if you want to go ahead and large size it and you pay a little extra for it.
So wait a second, you're going from athletic references to fast food references?
Well, I mean, I guess you got to put something out there that people can, I'm using the national markets to say to put it out there so people can understand where we're coming from. So we're able to supersize our road funding by doing this. Keep 100% of your money that you're going to pay in the wheel tax back home. You're not sharing it with nobody else. The money's not going to Vermont as a national share program throughout the state. It's not going to Indianapolis. It's not going anywhere else but home. And it's staying here for your roads, for your projects.
And we're talking per car, per family?
It's per car. And, it's amazing. I don't know if people can realize it. If you got a caller who wants to call in and tell me, I got the numbers here. We just got it from the BMV, and it's a rounded off number. But how many cars you think Crown Point has just in passenger vehicles? Under 11,000 pound vehicles. I mean, this is 13,000 households. But how many cars do you think is actually
13,000 households? Probably over 30,000 cars.
I would say about
2 or 3. I have
around
3 cars in my
13,000
household.
cars. One car per household?
No, I have 3 cars in my household.
See?
Well, I live in Maryville now, but
What do you got a weekend car you drive,
no,
a convertible
my
or
husband has a
something?
car. I have a car, and then one of our daughters that's there has a car, so it's 3 cars in the household.
All right, so let's just throw out. What did you put over 30? I put under 20.
Okay. What do you think? 54,000 is the number.
Okay,
We
well,
lost.
54,000 cars. Now, again, this is passenger vehicles. These are trucks. These are your It could be a motorcycle as well, so those things.
So we're talking like $25 per car, 45 for trucks, or how much for trucks?
40 for trucks. Now, this
40
is
for
this is
trucks.
the state statute. It's
Okay.
declared, okay? The surtax are for vehicles under 11,000. The wheel tax are for commercial vehicles over 11,000. That's your trailers, that's your larger semi-tractor trailers and things of that nature. And we have about 6,000 of those as well.
Wow.
So if we fully maxed out what the state law indicates, and again, we want to present something at the worst case scenario, because you don't want to go and go, okay, we're asking for 10, and at the end of the last minute, we're asking for 25, and it was, wait, what's going on here? We're going to give you what the worst case scenario is, and that generates about another $1.6 million on an annual basis back to the city of Crown Point. Everybody keeps asking, why now? Why are you pushing this? Well, the reason it's been brought to our attention is because the state, we were waiting for this last session to come out, and we thought there was going to be some different plans that the state were going to provide the locals with. What came out at the end was they gave a little bit of money back that you already paid, which was yours to begin with because they had a surplus down there, which that was nice of them to give our own money back. And then they were going to do a matching grant if you had certain things, a transportation plan, and certain things you would want to put and pledge local money towards. And that number is still up in the air. We're hearing different stories. NDOT's indicating it's a max of $500,000 per application. We're hearing from other legislators it could be as high as $1 to $2 million on a match, depending on how many communities will put in for that definite pilot. So we have a chance to take your money and pledge it and bring it all one back into the roads on a consistent basis.
So actually taking the wheel tax, you can actually get more than just your taking in. Is that what I'm getting out of this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Get the match.
Yeah, I mean, so
you know what? Let's take a phone call. We got a guy waiting. You want to talk to
And
Mayor Uran? Do
real
it right
quick,
now.
Before you take the call, just ask you this. How will you collect it? Through the BMV? Or
through the BMV. So when you
Okay,
get your license
absolutely.
plates once a year, you'll pay that surtax or wheel tax at the time of your application for your renewals.
Okay, thanks.
Only Crown Point residents or
It's
actual?
only Crown Point residents. It's in the corporate limits. Again, people keep calling me and go, well, how do I know that where I live? I said, well, if you're involved in a municipal election, you'll know that you're in Crown Point because you don't vote for anybody else but people in Crown Point.
What if a business is located there? They have to pay it on their trucks?
Yes.
All right, let's talk to Dave from Crown Point. Hey, Dave, how are you?
Hey guys, good morning. Hey Dave,
Morning, Dave.
a few years back when the referendum went through for the school board,
Yes.
I was vehemently opposed to it, and I've got 3 children in that school system because, as I suspected, what would happen actually happened. The referendum passed. They had an influx of additional cash coming in, and the first thing that happened was the administrators in Crown Point all got a raise. That's my concern with this tax. I moved to Crown Point for a reason. I like the schools. I like the infrastructure. You guys are doing a fantastic job with the roads, with the budget you have. Leave my hard-earned money alone. Please don't take any more taxes out of my paycheck.
All right, stay on the line, Dave. Go ahead.
Yeah, Dave, I appreciate the call. And again, what's different maybe about what the referendum was, and again, as the city government, as your mayor, we have no control over the schools. They're separate entity by themselves, and they're supposed to have checks and balances of where that money was supposed to be spent. And I would encourage you to reach out to those elected officials and ask them how that money is being spent as well. I have 4 kids that went through the school system. 2 are still there. And Dave, I'm with you as well. I'm here because of in Crown Point because of where Crown Point's headed. It's a bedroom community. It has a great school system, low crime rate, property values are at its all-time high, and we have our collective responsibilities to do that. And the city wants to invest with you as well and put other money into these locations and do different things to improve our infrastructure. Your point to being how this money is going to be spent, that we're going to collect $25 per car and then give everybody raises. That's not prescribed by law. It has to go for roads. There's going to be a transportation plan that's out there. And again, this is a proposal. This is nothing that's saying this is the way it's going to be moving forward. We have a checks and balance system set up. We have to go through public hearings. We have council people that represent you as well. And at the end of the day, if this proposal, as a mayor, if I didn't throw all the things out there, the tools in our toolbox, and present ideas to our community, and we all decide collectively to come together for the right reasons and what direction we want to go, I wouldn't be doing the job that you elect me to do.
And I appreciate the fact that you're coming on and you're stating your case, but I'm going to utilize this forum as well just to indicate to you as a taxpayer in Crown Point, we've been taxed enough already. We need to draw the line somewhere. I'm seeing less and less of my paycheck every 2 weeks. The roads are fine in Crown Point. Leave it alone.
All right. Hey, thanks a lot, Dave. 219-845-1100. All right, let's go straight to that. the attitude that since you've come out with this idea or suggestion plan to tax for the wheel tax, what's your feedback been from the community?
Well, I put it on social media. I mean, I blasted it out there, and it has a life of its own. I'll leave it at the fact that there's a lot of passionate people out there that post things on the Facebook. But the main part is getting the public awareness of what this is. I think it's been a law that's been there a long time. It just hasn't been enacted. This is the first time that through the match program and the change of the new law that's out there, that actually gave the ability for the local municipalities, your cities or your towns, to be able to go ahead and have this conversation themselves. If the county didn't pass it, the locals never had the opportunity to go ahead and cash in on something like this for their road projects. Now, as mayors, again, we talked about the collective voice that we have together. We all got together and said we need to have different tools, maybe home rule on different communities, because we're a little bit different than Hammond. Mayor Tom does a great job up here. We don't have casino money as much as he does, and we talk about things like that. Some of our economic engine we have in Crown Point is our sports complex. Other communities don't have that. So each style and each progression of how you financially prepare for your city does change a little bit, and you got to find your niche out there. We have 138 miles of roads. We have $500,000 annual budget. If we have other money left over each year after we encumber, because we don't spend everything that we appropriate out there, we'll put towards other projects like roads. We'll also have redevelopment commission kick in where they can. Now, like the sports complex, I always hear the argument, why did you spend all that money in the sports complex and not fix our roads? Why are you asking us now money for taxes for this? The residential dollars that we collect doesn't go to the sports complex. We are fortunate to have a very nice family in the Dean and Barbara White family that lives in Crown Point. He has a foundation that pretty much matches dollar for dollar. Well, where did the other dollar come from? It came from the redevelopment commission, comes from commercial development that has to go into those funds and spend for something like that. So it went into the sports complex, which is an economic engine. So it doesn't, and so we couldn't take that money. Mr. White wasn't going to pledge money to go ahead and fix the roads on the north end or fix the roads down by the fairgrounds. That's just not the way it works.
And the other thing is, you have a lot of traffic that comes into Crown Point, not just for the government complex.
54,000 cars.
Right. So they're coming in, but not just residents. They're coming in for the fairgrounds, all the activities that take place there. They're coming into the square. So if you get this money, what are going to be the major things that you'd like to see done with the roads in Crown Point?
Well, a lot of that is going to be coming from property owners within Crown Point themselves. So we want to put that money back in. We'll have a transportation plan that shows where these roads, we already have it mapped out now as far as what roads are on a certain scale, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. And the 1s and the 2s are becoming more than the 5s, because Northwest Indiana has, we have the worst winters ever, and it's horrible for road condition. You go further in southern states and you do a road project, you can get 15, 20, 25 years out of it because it's sunny in Florida all the time, or Georgia's nice. Here in Northwest Indiana, you can do a road that's 5 years old, and for whatever reason, the infrastructure got water underneath it, it froze, and the road starts to buckle up, and what you just put investment on, and the number of cars that go on it, could make that road and its life expectancy go faster as far as being repaired. And so Mother Nature is one of our worst components as being a mayor.
You know what? We got to take a short break. We've got Mayor David Uran out of Crown Point. We've got Verley Suggs. It's Tuesday. She's here. We'll be right back.
George C.